Hello, I am Sinfogale. Today we are covering Cobalion is September 2021 event missions. For these missions, you have to defeat Cobalion Part 3 with 9 sync pairs or less, and your teams must include 3 Unova, Gym Leader, and Fire theme skills. We will do all missions in the same run. Cobalion has a simple gimmick. You have to inflict a status condition in order to damage it. You can inflict every status ailment on Cobalion, but paralysis and sleep are most effective. However, when Cobalion recovers from a status condition, it becomes more resistant to it, until it eventually becomes immune. Besides that, Cobalion mostly uses physical attacks, so make sure to buff your party's defense while debuffing Cobalion's attack. For this guide, I am going to show a couple examples. First, I want to show an accessible strategy using Oak as our primary striker. For the second example, I will use a powerful Fire-type striker alongside a Sleeper, which is a very easy way of dealing with Cobalion. Cobalion is generally easy to deal with as long as you respect the status gimmick. Make sure to bring a good physical wall as well as a paralysis or a sleep applicator. Anniversary N is a standout because he has piercing blows. If you have Reshiram, you don't have to inflict a status ailment on Cobalion. Alright. For this free-to-play example, I am going to use resources that were available to players who joined during 2nd anniversary. If you joined afterwards, I have several other Cobalion tutorials on my channel that you can reference. So this is going to look a little convoluted, but I wanted to make this as safe and consistent as possible. First, we are sending Ghetsis solo. He has a couple goals. He needs to debuff Cobalion to -6 attack, and he also needs to paralyze it with Dragon Breath. We are sacrificing Ghetsis because we don't want him to overstay his welcome and let Cobalion stack sync buffs, which would complicate matters for the second team. Now, notice that Cobalion was about to launch a sync move, so I am going to send in a level 1 Fire-type Eggmon to soak up that damage. This helps because it prevents damage on the main team and it also fulfills a Fire theme skill. As for the main team, we have Hop, Oak, and Misty. We are missing theme skills, so we will have to take care of that later. But I feel I have to justify my choice of a striker here, and it's a byproduct of the defensive core I am bringing. So, Hop plus Misty is almost unbreakable for Cobalion. My Hop doesn't have a Vigilance, but Hop and Misty are packing so much potion support that it barely matters. Hop will have a very easy time in tanking out this encounter. And the reason I really like this defensive core is because of its accessibility. 2020 Hop is much better at tanking than an uninvested Skyla, and Misty's event gives you enough resources to raise her to 5-star potential, 5-5 with a full grid, used with a couple days of farming stamina. These two give you good syncing utility as well. If you need healing, you can sync with Misty so you can proc Synchro Healing 1. And if you need damage, you can sync with Hop instead, because at 5-5 he does unironically good damage. Cobalion can also inflict a status with Poison Jab, which Misty can take care of. The drawback to this core is that they are incapable of inflicting status conditions, so this assigns pressure on your striker to be able to do that, which is where Oak comes into play. So Oak is Grid grants him access to Hostile Environment 1. This passive doubles the chances to proc status conditions with secondary effects. This means that Oak has a 60% chance to paralyze with Thunder, which should be enough status control to get you through the fight. And on a worst case scenario, you can fall back on Fire Blast and Blizzard is chances to proc status conditions. Speaking of Fire Blast, Oak can also deal super effective damage in this fight, and he has this multiplier called Dirty Fighting, which enhances his damage if the target is afflicted by a status condition. So a lot of things work in Oak's favor here. I like Oak better than Ghetsis in this fight, because Glaciate is 4 bars, and it's a little harder to manage. Also, Ghetsis is weak to Steel, so he receives super effective damage from Covalion's Sync move. Oak can also debuff Covalion, so while he cannot directly debuff attack, which Covalion is going to keep erasing eventually, Oak can still keep him in check with Unfortuitious 9. Anyway, the synergy for this team is simple. When Covalion recovers from paralysis, you want to use Thunder so you can keep using Fire Blast, while Misty and Hop spam Water Gun and Metal Claw respectively to gain gauge. But if Hop has an opportunity to use Behemoth Bash, then he can contribute with additional DPS to advance the fight a little faster. Hopefully that's clear enough, so I am going to fast forward the fight a bit. You want to leave Covalion with as little health as possible. Oak is going to murder Covalion at this range, so you have to use Metal Claw or Water Gun to measure Covalion's health until it's at a range you are comfortable with, and you can let Covalion finish off the team. Remember to turn off the auto switch setting on the options, because if you leave the game idle for too long, then you will attack Covalion automatically and ruin everything. Before sending the final team, we have to work one more Unova theme skill. So we are sending in Bryson. He can do something kinda useful by using Haze on Covalion and removing its crit buffs, so that will make it a little safer for the final team to wrap up the fight. The final team is designed to guarantee your victory. So we saved Skyla for last, because I don't like her tanking on early in the fight. If she doesn't have a Vigilance, she gets wrecked by Stone Age, because she's weak to rock. But with her defense buffs and potion, she can guarantee that Flannery is Will-O-Wisp and Blaine is Fire Spin, stall Covalion and defeat it through recoil damage. And there you go, we have completed all the missions. For this second example, we're going to use some more advanced resources, but this should be realistic for a lot of players. So the basis of this strategy is that we're going to fulfill the theme skills before sending the main team. But while doing so, we need to drop Covalion to have health on its first health bar. So we are sending Ghetsis solo once again, used to fulfill a Unova theme skill and debuff Covalion at the same time for some safety. Just remember to not paralyze Covalion with Dragon Breath, because we are going to inflict another status condition with the second team. The second team has to fulfill a Unova theme skill, a couple Fire theme skills, as well as a couple Gym Leader theme skills, which will give us enough Libertine options for the final team. To that end, I brought Marlon, because he can buff defense for a party to help it tank Covalion a little better, and he can also grant himself Endure. So even if Covalion crits Stone Age, Marlon can hang on for a little while so Flannery can do her job. Torchic is here because it's really good at quickly buffing a special attack and crit to accelerate Flannery's offense, and Flannery is functioning as our striker here. She is a particularly good sync pair against Covalion because she can inflict a burn, and through the recoil damage alone, you can really push through Covalion's health. And with her Sync Nukes, you should be able to reach your ultimate goal of pushing Cobalion past 50% health. We need to reach this threshold because at this point Cobalion activates a passive that clears status conditions. So when you see that Cobalion activates regeneration, it means that you reach the threshold, so you can just let the Flannery go at that point.
Okay then.
Now for the main show. The crux of this strategy is bringing a sleeper with accurate sleep. You can do this a couple of ways. You can buff your sleeper's accuracy by a couple of stages, or you can bring a sleeper with Troublemaker 1 as an innate passive or as a lucky skill. And Tech Execute here is the most accessible accurate sleeper in the game, because it's an Egmont that can have Troublemaker 1 as its second innate passive. So it's very likely that you have one of these hanging around in your Egg Infirmary, but you're probably unaware of it. So you should check if you have a Tech Execute with Troublemaker 1, but if you don't, then you can bring Ramos or Agatha or whatever sleeper you have hanging around, and use Inaccurate Sleep and just hope that it hits early. But Tech Execute here is a reliable way of accomplishing this strat. So the deal about using Sleep against Cobalion is that it's less about the quality of your setup, but rather understanding sleeping mechanics. Cobalion starts out with 0 sleep resistance. It's very vulnerable to it. So if you put it to sleep, it will stay asleep for a very long time, and that will give your Fire-type striker very ample opportunity to spam moves and just keep attacking. But you have to watch out for a few cues. When Cobalion hits 50% health and when it transitions health bars, it will wake up immediately. It just has a passive that removes status conditions. And here I am about to hit that threshold. So notice that I am waiting to have a Blast Burn as well as a Hypnosis queued up, because I know that Cobalion is going to wake up. So I am preventing an attack by just having the move gauge available. And I know that Cobalion is going to stay asleep for a very long time, so I can afford to wait out the move gauge to apply this strategy. Now, another cue that you have to pay attention to is that Cobalion is sleep ticking. Notice here that the sleep icon is blinking. That means that Cobalion is about to wake up, so you would do well to rush damage and just attempt to cue a Hypnosis in Desperation or something, but those are the two things that you have to pay attention to when using sleep. When Cobalion is going to clear the status, and when it's about to wake up, and the sleep icon is your best cue for both instances. But well, that's it for this video. I hope it helps. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you another time.